offers the huge taste of selections like baby back ribs and pulled pork sandwiches out of a little place. Scotchamamas is located just a block west of I-35W off of West Diamond Lake Road in South Minneapolis. Visit their website at scotchamamas.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. Good to be with you. Matt and Patrick here. Cliff Schechter joins us here in just a little bit, about 3:30 this afternoon. So we are going with, we've got the camera in front of me. Duh. Does it look okay? I mean, it's full frontal Matt, and that's right what we got. I don't know. I'm looking at it on this like, hey, okay, that's okay. Maybe that's fine. All right, we'll keep it there until I get more disturbed by it, because let's face it, I entered radio in a day when the idea of cameras being in studios was, are you kidding me? Have you seen that troll farm we got in there? No. The the radioactive goat herd that we have on air. No, let's not put that on camera. No. We are not, radio people are not an attractive bunch. Have we mentioned this? Well, you know, there's a few exceptions, but that's about it. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Did you have a nice weekend there, Patrick?
I did. I saw the Super Mario Brothers movie yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, in the theater. It was thought it was good. There were no surprises, nothing I didn't expect. There was one criticism I have of it, but I think it leans too heavily into the something I can't give away. So.
Well, okay. Oh, you can. Okay.
Well, it didn't have to do with the plot, kind of more the the immersion of the fantasy world of the movie that I kind of didn't really. But I feel would be a little too much to say. So.
All right. Well, but you overall enjoyed it.
Yes.
Okay. I have not seen that one. I did not go to a movie. I did. I'm starting to see how much I can go back out into walking again. So I walked the Stone Arch Bridge and across the Hennepin Avenue Bridge. Did that. Can't remember what's the Pioneer Route or whatever they call it there. I can't remember the history route that they have downtown, because they got a lot of history markers. They'll talk about the history of that area when you walk through it. The Mississippi River is angry, my friend. That is an angry river right now. Holy cow. I can't remember it either moving as fast as it is right now or pouring over that waterfall like it I've never seen that. It was brutal. It was pretty rough. So I saw that. Not a big surprise. All my best to everyone who's out there in a flood area, because it's coming at you a little bit right now. But I did that, and I kind of took a nice day yesterday. We started doing some spring cleaning, which basically was me stopping my wife from throwing things out that I wanted to keep, you know, for lack of a better way to say it. No, that beer can collection's been with me since I was in college, you know, that sort of thing, you know. Yeah, and it's kind of pathetic, but still, I stood my ground and only threw out half of it. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I got a few things I want to get to, but I want to start with an interesting reaction I got to the Price is Right story we had from Friday. Do you remember the Price is Right story, Patrick?
Yep.
Woman goes on Price is Right, which, okay, fun. Drew Carey, I'd love to. That's a great show. She goes on. The trip she's playing for is one for Minnesota, as they announced you're going to Minnesota. Well, it's not Minnesota. They're basically taking this woman and putting her here for 6 days in the Mall of America, which even I would be like, whoa, okay. And granted, I'm sure that there is shopping involved, and you know who doesn't love a sushi bar and Shake Shack and all that good stuff. But you're going to be in there for a few days. The first thing she says is, "Oh, it's cold. It's cold there. I'm an LA girl." Now, I didn't mention this last week, but hey, it gets cold in Minnesota. I can put a sweater on. Last time I checked, there's no such thing as an earthquake sweater. Okay. So good luck with all that. I'd rather have a little snow than basically the earth, heaving upwards and ripping apart. Just me, wacky, crazy me. The destruction of everything I know and love. But the comment we were talking about last Friday was that it's amazing to me how many people think we have snow and glaciers all year long, that we're wearing parkas and hats and mittens all year round. And, I can't even get into the sweat fest that's Minnesota in June, July, and August. I mean, it is warm and hot, and hey, the lakes are great, but it's a complete misnomer. But I have actually run into people who have no idea that Minnesota is not snow free for a large portion of the year. The reaction I got from this story, not from out-of-state people saying, really, but rather Minnesotans, made me realize where the problem lies. Because the first comment I get on any of these stories is, well, Matt, the only month that hasn't snowed in Minnesota is July. And I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, stop it. How many times have you had to shovel snow in June? Oh, that's right. Never. So a few flakes fly in northern Minnesota in June one year. And this is why would you bring this up? The entire point of the argument was people have a delusional thought process about Minnesota and winter, and that it's covered with snow all the time. And the first thing I get is some idiot, and I'm sorry, I'll call it what it is, some idiot coming out and telling me, well, it snowed in August one time. The whole point is to try to... Minnesotans, you have got to get over this crap. You have. You yourselves are giving Minnesota the bad reputation. Now, let's just be honest here. The reality is we generally have snow on the ground consistently from about the 10th of December until maybe the 10th of March. So 3 full months is what we get snow. Do we get snowstorms outside of it? Yes. And by the way, if you bring up frickin' October in 91 again, I'll gut you with a fork, okay? Stop it. That's the anomaly. That's the unusual. When you sit there and the first words out of your mouth every time you meet someone from another place is, well, there was one time back in 1991 where we were getting ready for Halloween, and you're not going to believe what happened. I found gold in those hills. Stop it. Stop it. That was the anomaly. I could go back to the 1880s. 1880s, they had a few years there that were just unbelievable, but it's not the normal. It's called abnormal. That is unusual. It does not really happen. So what you would say that if someone comes up to you and says, do we have snow 24/7, 365? No, it snows in Minnesota pretty consistently for about the 10th of December to March 10th. And outside of that, doesn't mean we don't get snow, but usually in fall, the earth is too warm and kind of melts off. It's never too heavy. And then afterwards, sure, we got a snowstorm yesterday. The most wicked coating of snow in the West Metro I've ever seen in my life. Holy cow. Ooh, let me pull up a log and tell the kiddos. No, it's minor. And it's a minor inconvenience. And sure, yeah, I have been here not that long ago, as a matter of fact, when there has been snow, an inch of snow in May. Because we get it, and it's the anomaly. It has to happen at night when the temperatures get cold, and it has to be unusually cold at that point. And the snow's got to come in, the water's got to come in at a certain angle. And boom, we get a quick little inch of snow, but it's melted by 8:30 that next morning because it's freaking May. Here's where it gets kind of ludicrous, is that I'll never forget that my son was born in 2001, October 2001. We were out that spring, February of 2002, and we had an unbelievably warm 2 days. I think both days were in the 70s. In February, it was god-awful hot. When was the last time you saw anyone in the States say, well, we can get hot days starting in February? And when was the last time you saw anyone say, hey, we had a remarkably hot stretch here just last week? Remember a few years ago, we had that 100-degree day? 100-degree day out of nowhere in April. I know because my daughter had to play softball in that, and it was just torture on those poor kids. They were just so pasty white, haven't seen the sun that much, and all of a sudden we're sending them down into southern Arizona for a game. Holy God, was that brutal. But no one sits here and says, Minnesota's a hot state all year long, which would be wrong. We're not. Those are anomalies. Those are not the normals. Duh! See? Ta-da! Ta-freaking-da! You don't do that because it's not the normal, and it'd be stupid to try to apply that year-round. And I don't know if it's just the fatalist mentality of your standard Minnesotan, I mean, which we're seeing on full display with the sports teams right now in the playoffs. Yeah, ain't going to go well. That being said, when the first thing out of your mouth is, yeah, isn't it a crime that everybody here thinks it snows all the time? Well, but hey, I'm just letting you know, it's snowing every month, but July in Minnesota. I don't want to, I don't want to scare anyone, but it does happen occasionally. Yeah. Out of 30 days in May, you might get 6 hours of snow. It's not like May is coated with 16 inches of snow. It's stupid to kind of just sit there and kind of base your May on a fleeting snowstorm. In the same sense as I've seen September snows, late September, 2-3 inches coming on down. Followed a week later by 75 degrees. Do I sit here and say September is a snowy month? No, because I'd sound like a freaking idiot, wouldn't I? And no, not 91. Stop it. Yes, it did snow a lot that day, and that snow stuck around till April. Yes, I know that. But sweet Lord, give it a rest. We love and hate at the same time that narrative. On one side, yeah, it's like when almost all of us, when someone comes in, it's like, I thought it snowed all year long. It's like, oh, for God's sakes, no, that's not normal. It gets cold in winter, it snows in winter, but we have lovely summers and fall is absolutely spectacular in Minnesota. It's really nice. But then all of a sudden you can't help yourself. But then there was that one year where it was April, and I'm going to basically put forward the stereotype. Stop, please, just stop. Because you can't break this. And first of all, can I just say this? We're only getting warmer. The fact that last week we had four days in the 80s. I went on spring break down to South Carolina. That was the weather down there. That was the weather I was escaping to go down to South Carolina for. To get a nice little break. Not bring it back with me. And then a day and a half after we hit 80-something, we get snow. We should look at the world and say, boy, the weather is sure screwed up at this point. That should probably be our first and foremost concern. Instead, we go with this. And like I said, the whole point of the story last week was to talk about we need to break out this mentality that Minnesota is this godforsaken winter hellscape that we can't escape from, that Ilsa from Frozen would basically like, whoa, the cold there just bothers me a little bit more in Minnesota. We should try to break that mentality. And then the Minnesotans themselves are the ones saying, there is one time I remember the state fair was going on and I saw a flake. Yeah. I see a lot of them on vacation, that's for sure. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Let's take a break. Come on back. I want to just quickly, before we get to Schechter coming up here, I want to talk about the Peter Callahan thing at MinPost once again, because I want to play the audio from that meeting and talk a little bit about that. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Check out the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis on the corner of 29th and Johnson for a delicious meal any time of the day. Breakfast favorites include Jean's mean fried egg sandwich and the drunken banana French toast. While for dinner, try selections like the fabulous Swedish meatballs or wild rice gumbo. Hazel's Northeast is located on the corner of 29th Avenue and Johnson Street, just a few minutes away from 35W. View Hazel's menu, make a reservation, or place a takeout order at hazelsnetogo.com.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have wood stoves that qualify for the new 30% income tax credit. A great opportunity to get an efficient stove and heat with renewable energy.
Right now, avoid supply chain delays, avoid the fall rush, avoid bad weather installation, and save money because we are now discounting the price on all chimney parts you need for installation for any of Woodland's new stoves and fireplaces.
We can help you with the stove and the chimney planning. Want to do it yourself? We will help you determine all the parts needed with our installation know-how. We have been installing wood stoves and fireplaces for over 45 years.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Save money. Take advantage of the spring and summer chimney discounts when you buy any fireplace product right now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. Todd is in Ramsey, wanting to chime in. Hi, Todd. Welcome on in today.
Hi, Matt. Always enjoy your show. You touched a nerve with me today because I'm a bit of a weather geek or nerd. I've had my own weather station for years in my backyard and love to follow the weather. And essentially what you're talking about, what weather nerds would say, is that you're describing the difference between weather and climate. The weather any particular day are these strange anomalies we get, and Minnesota has plenty of them, but the climate in Minnesota has a beautiful spring, a beautiful summer, and a beautiful fall, because that's what individual days of weather encompass the overall climate. And every place can get swings in weather on any one day, but the overall climate, Minnesota's got one of the most beautiful climates in the United States.
Absolutely.
It has moderation, it has change in season, and it's really beautiful. Yes, winter's tough, but it's not 12 months of the year.
No, it's not.
The general climate in Minnesota is wonderful. And if I can add one more quick thing, I'm going to take it a real twist, and that's climate and weather. I read from time to time, especially in the Star Trib, these articles written by people from the American Enterprise Institute, conservative organization that loves to criticize Minnesota's taxes. And they always say that that's what drives people out of Minnesota is the high tax rate. Well, they're generally talking about people that retire after they've used Minnesota to make their fortune, and they want to go to a place that has a better overall climate. You know, they want to go to some place where it's warm and consistently 60 and 70 degrees. That's what drives people out of the state of Minnesota, not overall taxes. They're looking for a more consistent climate.
Well, so, and that's something and thanks, Todd, I appreciate it. Something my parents only did. They got to a point where up in northern Minnesota, the winters got to be too tough because they were too old. So they moved south, and that's normal. But yeah, my dad specifically came back to Minnesota to open his business because he wanted to be here among Minnesotans when he started his company. 952-946-6205. So I want to just really briefly touch on the Peter Callahan over the Minnesota Reformer. We've had him on the air a few times, and the hubbub about what happened at a press conference. Now, I'll tell you what. Let's play. This is the audio. This is the press conference here. Now, we don't have, I believe, the swear word, the vulgarity that he said afterward, but I want you to listen to it. It takes a few seconds here. You hear a Democratic politician talking about a bill, and then they say they're going to take one more question, and that's when Callahan pipes in. So go ahead and play this audio if you could.
Innovative way to determine school lunches. Is that to say the CEP is separate from the free and reduced lunch formula, or is it just?
CEP is a federal program and is separate from the other federal subsidies. It's a way of calculating universal meals for sites. So it is a separate program from the National School Meals Program and also other subsidies that come from the federal government.
One more question.
No, we can take several more questions. We're trying to understand this bill.
So just to be clear, so you're saying under this bill, every school has to.
Sorry, Peter, I can't hear.
All right, and that's kind of what you need to hear there. Now, I don't believe the DFL should be blacklisting any journalist. I don't, unless that journalist is becoming really, really belligerent. All right? I don't think you should. Their heavy-handed tactics after the fact with Peter Callahan were a touch embarrassing. That being said, what did you just hear there? I'm going to step back for a quick second. When I've covered sports, I've been at radio stations where I've covered sports. Sometimes you get the luxury of going down on press row or being in the press box while the game is going on. There's a specific rule you have in that situation. You don't cheer. I go to a Twins game, I'll sit in the press box. I've done it a few times. I look down on the field. I'm not cheering. Even if we get a grand slam home run, you're not cheering in the press box. It's a working environment. There are specific rules that you have in place that you just don't do certain things. What I hear from Peter Callahan there is him, for some reason, feeling he has the authority to order the DFL to take as many questions as they want. Now, I don't know what the situation is, nor does he. He doesn't know if those Congress people have to get to another meeting, got to get to another committee, they got to get to another hearing. So there is a bit of shocking level of arrogance coming from Callahan to sit there and say, no, you're going to take as many questions as we want. Paraphrasing. But still, kind of this aggressive, we're going to take you're going to take as many questions as I tell you you're going to take sort of attitude being put forward. And then you say a vulgarity, and I can tell you right now, I work at a radio station. If I start going around and using vulgarities at other people that are in the work environment, I'm going to get fired. Now, I don't know what was going on with Peter that day, if he was just having a bad day, if he was frustrated about something. I don't know. I don't know Peter Callahan's necessarily his political viewpoint, which is unfortunate because I know a lot of Democrats now, a lot of Republicans love him. A lot of Democrats look at him as the alpha over at MinPost. And I feel sorry because I don't know what his political leanings are. Maybe they are to the right. I don't know. Still, at the same time, as unprofessional as that lashing out was and the vulgarity, which it was, and a lot of people, especially the people on the right, want to just skip on past that. All that needed to happen was the DFL should have pulled him aside and said, okay, let's talk a little bit about decorum in the press room, okay? You don't order the DFL or the Minnesota GOP, for that matter, to take as many questions as you want them to take. That is not your job. That is not your role. You do not determine when press conferences begin or when they end. That's just a reality. And if you use vulgarity while you're in the press room again, you will not be allowed in here. We will blacklist you. That would be the decorum. That's what I would say to him. That being said, I don't think the DFL is right in banning him per se, but I like I said, I don't know what was going on with Peter that day. If he was just having a bad day, if he had some bad news, if he just was frustrated, he hadn't had a lot of sleep, he wasn't feeling well. I don't know. But that wasn't normal political interaction. And I will also add, if I can, my experience with both the Republican and the Democratic media people is that if I've got a question about something and I say, can I get a copy of a bill or something like that, they'll generally send it to you fairly quickly. There's not a really, I'm not going to send it to you. Well, no, they'll send, no problem. Here you go. And both sides, Republicans have done that and Democrats have done that. I've not had any real problem with that. If I wanted to get clarification on a bill or something, I was going to talk about something. So I'm not sure why all of a sudden, if he was having questions, if he has a hard time understanding the bill, why are you not pulling someone aside after the fact and asking all the questions you need? Because to my knowledge, people, especially in St. Paul, are not that unattainable. So I'm just, I don't condone necessarily what the DFL did, but I'm not going to look past what Peter Callahan said. And it deserved definitely a discussion about decorum in the press room, because to my knowledge, he doesn't have the authority to push what he was saying he had the authority to push. At least that's, I don't believe the media does, because if that's the case, because I got a hell of a lot of Republican press conferences, I got to ask them questions about, why did you ask a hell of a lot more questions? And like I said, regardless of what, I don't know what Peter Callahan's political leanings are personally, but I can tell you what the fallout's going to be from this. So, yeah, I hope the command to the DFL was worth it there. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. Cliff Schechter when I do return. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Kelly Tanky.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Tune in to AM 950's newest show, Searching for Service, a show designed to help current and future Rotarians find purpose through service.
We are dedicated to sharing stories, experiences, and opportunities for those searching for purpose, value, and meaning.
But more importantly, connection through community. Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcasts.
It's time to stop searching and start serving.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. April is National Pet Month, and if you have furry, fluffy friends, you know they're not always careful about where they do their business. Plus, warmer weather is on the way, and that means they will be shedding that winter coat all over the carpets. But whether you're a pet owner or not, make sure to take advantage of Zero Res Showering April savings on you before the May flowers and the May Pet Fluff Showering on your carpets not far behind. Get 3 rooms Zero Resified from the Twin Cities #1 carpet cleaner starting at just $129, and take $75 off your air duct cleaning this month to take care of pet dander and last year's pollen and other irritants before this year's flowers bloom. That's 3 rooms of the best clean you can buy for $129 and $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call 952-ZERO-RES or book your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com today. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Discover what fuels you and score grill savings you can't find at big box warehouses. Warner Stellian specialists make it simple to choose the perfect gas grill, pellet smoker, or griddle from the hottest brands. And you'll love our exclusive in-store deals. We have the lowest grill prices of the year. Plus, get 3 boxes of no-name meats and seafood. Your time is money, so let our pros handle the assembly and then just tell us where and when you want it, and we'll deliver it for free. Only from your local grill headquarters, Warner Stellian.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Sunshine today with a high of 46, then tonight clear with a low of 29. Spring has arrived, and it's time to take a good look at your lawn. If there are bare spots or brown patches, Natura Lawn can help. For over 30 years, Natura Lawn has taken an environmentally friendly approach to lawn care. Beat the summer rush and visit naturalawn.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Cliff Schechter is a best-selling author, is an ad writer for Joe Biden's presidential campaign in 2020. In 2022, his Blue Amp Action email list raised over $850,000 for Democratic candidates and progressive organizations, and he hosts the Blue Amp YouTube channel, where his humorous and cutting takedowns hit go viral on YouTube. If you're not following that, go look for Cliff Schechter on YouTube. You'll find it. Cliff Schechter is kind enough to join us today to talk about politics. Hi, Cliff.
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Okay, so you and I always talk baseball a little bit, and our two teams just faced off for the weekend there in the Bronx. I would make an argument that those two teams' pitching staffs might be the two best pitching staffs in baseball right now. That was actually a pretty good clinic on pitching from both sides, and the Yankees sure did increase their pitching.
Well, yeah, I would say, except for that first game where you guys literally teed off on everything.
But that was three innings. That was 3 innings, though. Really, after that 3 innings, your pitching staff calmed down quite a bit.
No, that's true. True. I mean, look, the pitching staff is very good, and that guy Johnny Brito had been really good before that. And young guy, everybody's going to have a bad game. But no, I think your argument's down. I mean, Garrett Cole looks like he's on a mission this year. Nestor Cortez has been like, the find of the century for us. And we, we've got some injuries right now, but Domingo Herman, we've got some guys that can fill in. And, when you guys showed up and pitched your butts off too. I'm trying to remember, who was it who you signed in the off season who was awesome? Well, you had Tyler Mahle, who used to be here in Cincinnati, and Sonny Gray. They both used to be here in Cincinnati. Sonny Gray was in New York too. But see, I mean, you guys brought in some
Lopez, and they
that's who I was trying to think of.
And they got the new 4-year deal today with him. They're finalizing $73.5 million for a 4-year deal. And it
very
was
smart. He's an ace. And you need that if you're going to win in the playoffs. And you've got these other guys. Sonny Gray could be a huge guy, a second or third guy. So it's going to be. I mean, the Twins, like, you guys are good, man. it's cool. It'll be really interesting to see what happens.
Well, and I think that the question for the Twins is that with the bats drying up on Saturday and Sunday, will they be able to find bats even against good pitching? Because that's really the difference. You have to have solid pitching yourself, but you have to, when that other team throws their ace out in the field, you got to be able to get 2 or 3 runs off of them. And I mean, where the Yankees are an intimidating force out there, that lineup is tough to get through. The Twins just, Buxton is not fired off. Max Kepler isn't fired off. Correa's doing okay, and as well as Miranda. Some of these guys, Joey Gallo, hopefully he kind of picks up a little bit. But they just got to find some hitting. I don't think they're going to have too much trouble with the American League Central. It does not look too good over here.
No, well, I think they'll be good there. And I mean, look, Correa, whatever he does anywhere else, kills us. So for you guys have had a rough run of it versus the Yankees in the playoffs. You want Correa in that lineup in a key spot because. You didn't just go out and get yourself obviously a really good shortstop. You went out and got a Yankee killer, and so you add that in. And I mean, I think Byron Buxton, if he could ever stay healthy, could potentially be the best player in baseball.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he'd be in that conversation. He's a 5-tool guy, and it's just a shame. Like, it's like a much worse version of what we have with Stanton, who, of course, he thought he hit a home run. Turns out he hit the wall with double. Had to run quickly suddenly and slow down, and boom, his hamstring.
Yeah,
like it's just that's the thing. Every season here, somebody came out with the stat that he's played 39% of his games for us, and yet he still has been averaging between 35 and 40 home runs a year. Can you imagine if he was just playing like 80% of the games, what he could do? But he just can't. I mean, I think in a way that'll define both teams. Yeah. If Buxton can stay healthy, I mean, if you guys have the force of that, because that to me, I'll say quickly, I know we're going to talk politics here at some point, but to me, that's how you win. And I remember when I was a kid growing up, or I like to say kid, at least I was in my 20s, but when the Yankees had that dynasty in the late 90s, the way they won those games against great pitchers, as you're saying right now, is they'd scratch out runs.
Mm-hmm.
It was smart baseball. It was hitting to the right side. They'd hit the guy from second to third with one out. It was, sack flies. It was all this kind of stuff. But for that to work, you've got to have speed. Yeah. And you have it if Correa's got some speed. If he's healthy, Buxton has speed. If he's healthy, you need that because that's how you go up against someone like Garrett Cole. And, maybe you get a walk or, you get one that nicks you or however it is you get on base. And I mean, right now we got this kid Volpe at shortstop who essentially when he gets on base at first base, you can just assume if he really wants to, he'll end up at third.
Yeah. Well,
and I mean, You need that.
Well, and that gritting it out there. That's what happened on Friday night with the Twins. They're down 3-1. They win that game 4-3. Watch the Twins when Jorge Polanco comes back. Watch the Twins because I think that will be the key. Jorge Polanco returns because he's injured right now. He comes back. I think.
Yeah, him and Gallo was injured too, and Gallo had a really strong start to the season. So.
Indeed. Oh yeah, you and I could talk this all day long, man.
I know. I mean, it's one of the few. It's one of those things. Talk like anywhere from like 60s rock to like hard rock and whatever. I can talk it all day. Baseball, I can talk it all day. And politics, those topics can keep me busy.
So
good streaming TV shows. You ever want to do that too?
Oh,
you can talk Ozark and Breaking Bad and anything you want.
No problem. We should. Okay, maybe we'll do that next time. All right, let's get into what happened yesterday, actually, which was the postponement of the beginning of the Dominion trial against Fox News. And the first one I saw that, I said, oh, no, please don't tell me these guys are settling. I think Fox News realizes how bad this is going to go for them, that they still they have belligerent hosts that still insist they were not wrong, that there's no way to get out of it. There's enough of a paper trail that they're in trouble. I found it interesting, but what would it take for Fox News to put on the table for Dominion to walk away at this point?
Yeah, I don't know, because Dominion knows that they've got again, I'm not a lawyer, but I can read. And what lawyers have been saying is that rarely does it happen that a judge is so adamant in a trial like this beforehand that it's, or before you even go to trial, that it's already been established that the other side, that there's liability there, right? They lied, they knew they were lying, and this judge has been very open about that. I mean, they're going to get killed. So I don't really. But I want them to. I mean, I think the whole world is like, please don't settle. Please don't settle. I don't know what they could do because Dominion knows they've got them, right? They know they've got them hardcore. And if I'm Dominion, I can't even imagine how much that hurt their business, that garbage. I mean, if I were going to settle with Fox, I'd hold up with them for everything. Forget even what I sued them for. I'd ask them for 5 times as much. I'd take them to the brink of bankruptcy is what I would do. So I don't know. I don't know what it'd be worth. And then we've got the Smartmatic one coming. And from what I've read of them legal analysts, they apparently have an even better case than Dominion does.
Well, and not only
what some of the hosts said about them, because they played a very small role in the election. They weren't nearly as involved, and their hosts made it sound like the Smartmatic was everywhere, bringing votes. So like, I mean, they're in a lot of trouble, and you just love to see it because there's not enough bad things in the world that can happen to Fox News. There really aren't.
Well, and let's face it, in these these lawsuits and cases like this, what Fox is desperately wanting is not to see how much money they paid out for this to go away, and the ability to not have to admit guilt. And frankly, I think after what Dominion's gone through, that last one particularly is a no-go, that they are going to want some level of very public apology repeatedly, probably for months, from all their hosts. And I just do not think, I think Fox is hoping they might be able to throw a big enough number at them to avoid going to the court. But if they want, I don't think having any, not being able to have to admit guilt publicly, I know Fox wants that, but there's just no way in the planet I think Dominion would allow them to get away with that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I never understood this when I've seen this. There was one of them that dropped a lawsuit against Newsmax. I'm trying to remember who it was. And this isn't just me hating Newsmax and wanting them to suffer, which I do hate them and I do want them to suffer, to be plainly honest with you. But it's just objectively looking at it, I don't remember who it was, but they were like, and all they had to do, Newsmax went on once and apologized. And I'm like, they can't unring that bell, and they can't undo that damage. I mean, if you're gonna have these guys, if they really are going to, on some level, if they're going to make up in any way for it, you should require them to, at the beginning of every show, at the middle of every show, at the end of every show, and I would require that for 6 months, a year. I mean, seriously, you need to undo the millions, if not tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in PR damage they've done to your brand. And so none of this crap, you don't know who's watching at what given time. And, if I were even contemplating settling with them, not only would the money be huge, but they would be constantly, and they would be writing it on their stupid website. They'd be saying on their stupid streaming Fox Nation, if that even exists anymore. I assume it does, but I haven't heard about it lately. It just in every place, Fox Business, I would make sure that in every single one of their spots, that they were constantly saying, "We lied. This is not true. This was an honest election, or at least Dominion conducted an honest election with their machines." Blah 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 blah. If they do anything less than that, I'm disappointed in them. Frankly, I don't want them to do that because I want them to sue them and go through with it and absolutely destroy them. But
well, and they, I don't know if it was it the New York Times this weekend. I was reading the article saying insanity is not a defense you can use in this trial, and their Fox News seems to be that their main defense is still going to be that Maria Bartiromo and a few of these other people really still think that the election was stolen. And the point the court is making is you're a news organization. You have an insane amount of evidence that did not happen. And so you can't use that as a crutch, which is the comment. I mean, they just don't have anywhere to go outside of looking bad. And I think that at the end of the day, the worst thing for Fox News is not the money. It's the fact that they would have to go on out there and say, we lied, we were wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree.
Yeah.
And constantly, right? Because their whole fear, when you read that whole thing, is quite simply that what they're scared of is they're scared of the fact that they're going to lose all these viewers to places that were more insane than they are. Mm-hmm. Right? I know it's hard to imagine that exists, but that was the fear. So, for them to have to get on and say we lied and we misled you and this is not what happened and yada yada, like, yeah, I think that would be incredibly damaging. And they would, they'll lose people who somehow, who maybe it'd be the final straw for them. I don't know why anybody would still be watching who has a couple brain cells to rub together, but apparently there are. And then for the lunatics watching, like, they get told to their faces constantly they were betrayed and lied to. So, yeah, I mean, that definitely has to be a big part of anything that happens. But again, like, if I'm Dominion, I'm knowing that I'm winning this lawsuit no matter what. I'm winning it for huge money. And why not make these guys go through having, suffering in the same manner in which what they put you through? Make them get on the stand. Let's see Tucker Carlson on the stand defend anything he said ever since he was like 8 years old.
I can imagine. I have to imagine Hannity, Tucker, all of them have got to be looking at Murdoch and saying, "Do not make me get up on that stand," and they can't stop it unless they settle. But I think that's the reason why we're seeing this frantic attempt by Fox News right now to try to settle, is because I think their own talent is revolting. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up going to court, that you'll see an exodus of the host from Fox News because of being hung out to dry like that. I
mean, you're right. I think you could see that. I think you could see an exodus of hosts because they're destroyed too. I mean, I can't predict irrationalities. And so the people that watch, sit there and watch Fox and take them seriously at this point might as well be like, the fungus infected from, The Last of Us, if you've seen that.
Yes.
I mean, like, that's kind of, you're at that level where you don't really have a functioning cerebral cortex. And so I don't trust you're going to do the rational thing, but I guess I would assume in some way that if you've been lied to constantly and then somebody looks you in the face and tells you they lied to you constantly and then tells you the next day they lied to you again and then tells you the next show they did it, that you might stop watching. Mm-hmm. And it may just crush their ratings. And if some of these hosts, I mean, that's what they all were so scared of in the end, because that's all they care about in the end. So it would be kind of an ironic end to this whole thing, is that a couple of these hosts lose their audience and simply have they don't have folks watching them, and so Fox has to get rid of them anyhow.
Yeah. I will mention, you mentioned the smart tech, Smartmatic, that one. I will also mention the Gateway Pundit lawsuits moving forward too. Those are the guys in St. Louis, the right-wing guys that outed two poll workers in Georgia and basically accuse them of being part of some grand conspiracy, to which led to them getting death threats and all sorts of things. I'm paraphrasing it horribly, but needless to say, that case is going to go to trial. And there's another far right outlet that's going to basically, I think, is in big trouble when it comes to this, because you just can't grab random people off the street and accuse them of something and then say, oh, well, they were public figures. That's not how it works.
But that's the other thing, right? The standard is much different. When it comes to, they destroyed these private people's lives. These are not like wealthy public people, who had the means to do this and that and the other thing they needed to do to take care of themselves and get security and whatever. They destroy these people's lives, and they should obviously pay a massive price for that. So good. Yeah, I'm glad that one's going forward. I would hope that would go forward, and I'm glad they sued them. I just think so many more people should take it upon themselves to do this, because these guys lie constantly and they do it with malice. And they know the things they're saying are not true. And if you ever got them into discovery, you'd be able to prove that they know what they're saying isn't true.
Mm-hmm.
They say whatever they want about Maria Bartiromo. She sits which makes me sick as somebody whose dad went there, on the board at NYU of the business school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you can't pretend she's that stupid. You just can't.
Mm-hmm. And she eagerly,
she's a lowlife, will do anything for money apparently, but she's not that stupid.
Oh, and she eagerly went along with it for sure. One thing I want to get in before we do wrap up, of course, Cliff Schechter joining us today. I wanted to talk a little bit about Dianne Feinstein. Dianne Feinstein has been a fantastic senator. She has accomplished a lot. She's 89 years old. She is clearly having a lot of health problems. And her position on the Judiciary Committee is now creating a lot of headaches. Her absence has basically stalled out Joe Biden's approval of his judges. The Republicans are basically vowing to fight her being removed from the committee with any ease and swiftness. I don't know what clearly, first of all, clearly this is someone whose health should have been a little bit more of a concern. Nothing against it. I think that if she's functioning at 89, she's able to do the job. I have no problem with that, but that clearly is not the case. I don't quite understand. It would seem to me the easy solution would be a resignation, then either an appointment by the California governor, which is a Democrat. Yep. So that would be a quick one. And then you can basically put that person back onto the Judiciary Committee and we're done. I'm not quite sure here. Are you hearing something about her health that leads you to believe she's going to be coming back with a level of competence?
No.
Oh.
I don't understand it. It would just seem to be complete being obstinate. And I'm sorry, there are people out there who will say, oh, you can't comment on this. It's, because I guess I'm a man and she's a woman, but you know what? I live in this country and what happens affects me and affects my family. And I heard the same things with Ginsburg, and we saw how that turned out. That if she'd stepped down from the court sooner, oh, you can't, you have no right to, unless you know what she's been through. You know what? I don't know what they went through as women to achieve the positions they did. It overcame incredible odds, and have done some amazing things for this country. That doesn't change the fact that when whoever you are, white, black, man, woman, if you're somebody who cares about the issues you claim to care about, when you reach a certain point where you are actively harming those issues and you're actually going to harm the people that people will die. Why don't we just put that honestly? Because of things that can't get done, because that's the Republican Party we're up against right now. And so she needs to step down. I'm not sure, at least my understanding is if she steps down, Gavin Newsom can appoint somebody right away and we're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's I just get tired of this, in the end, I'm a believer in that there should be an age limit on the top end. When we were running for office 200 years ago, nobody was living to that age, or a few people were, let's say. And the average age in this country, I think the average age was 57 or 58 that people were dying. It was a different situation. But we're now in a situation where people are living longer lives, but they're not always fully there mentally, and it's on ageism. That's fact. That's science.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Supreme Court here in Ohio has a rule where you cannot run after the age of, I think, 70. So you can run when you're 69 and change, and so in the end, it's 6-year terms. They have to step off by the time they're 75. Maybe it's 75, maybe it's 80. I want to be fair. And obviously right now with Joe Biden, we have an older president, and put him up against any Republican. I vote for him a billion times over. But I think culturally we need to understand this. So maybe it affects how people think, and people feel a little more pressure that, there are times where we need to say, okay, like there's ages you get beyond where people are not as effective.
Wow.
And it doesn't mean that affects every one of them, but we have to make rules for how they affect most of us.
Well, it's the
with that
Woodrow.
said, like I know, I just want to say quickly. Obviously, I'm a huge Biden supporter, so I don't want to sound like and he is the incumbent, and we'd be crazy to give up an incumbent. So, I'm 1,000,000,000% behind him for all the advantages an incumbent has.
Well, we have to go back, and we don't have any time to talk more about this, but the Woodrow Wilson situation, where he had a stroke in his second term, he clearly was not capable of running the presidency. As a matter of fact, his wife basically ran the country in his position during that time. And
his wife and the advisor, Colonel House, who supposedly was advising him to run the country and running it too.
Yeah, and
the
so
two of them.
This is not against what she represents and what she's done. It's about, is she able to function in the job that she has signed up for? And it does not sound like she can do that anymore. And I think that we need to look at, considering the long-term impacts of her just holding that position just because she just doesn't want to let it go. I don't know if that's necessarily good. So Cliff Schechter, once again, the Blue Amp Strategy YouTube page. Of course, if you're not listening to Cliff on YouTube, he's brilliant. He has a lot of great takes. I'll link to everything a little bit later on, and make sure you subscribe to that. Cliff, all my best to your Yankees. All my best to you. We will talk to you soon, my friend.
That was overly kind. You didn't have to do that. But thank you for all your best to me, to you too. And of course, the Twins, baby.
Thank you. Take care. Cliff Schechter, kind enough to join us. Let's take a quick break and wrap up the hour. When we do return, it's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
The St. Paul Art Collective is thrilled to announce the return of the St. Paul Art Crawl this spring. And new for 2023, the St. Paul Art Crawl will now span 4 weekends from April 14th through May 7th. The St. Paul Art Crawl will feature different districts each weekend, so you will have more opportunities to see more artists and performances. The event will showcase the work of local artists from 10 distinct art districts in St. Paul. This year's crawl promises to be bigger and better than ever, with 26 different venues hosting hundreds of talented artists, live music, dance, and delicious local food. As the longest-running art crawl in the United States, the St. Paul Art Crawl is an iconic event for art lovers and collectors alike. You can explore the city's diverse neighborhoods and experience the unique creative visions of each artist. So wander the St. Paul Art Crawl and discover the wonder of it all. That's 4 weekends spanning April 14th through May 7th. For more information about the Spring Art Crawl and how to donate, visit stpaulartcollective.org.
Many car dealers will quote safety stats, but firsthand experience really tells the story. When I bought my 2017 Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota, the service manager told me it was one of their safest vehicles ever made. Then I saw it for myself. A car hit me at 35 miles per hour, and the Sienna saved me. Its design absorbed the collision, and although it took a wallop, I walked away, and I now have a 2022 Sienna. When it comes to safety, I personally vouch for Toyotas. Be safe and get one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Tune in this Saturday morning right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing the world of seeds, understanding heirloom, organic, F1, F2, hybrid, as well as spring lawn maintenance. Our guest is author Kelly Smith Tribble, and will answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Tell a friend and let's grow together.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Cliff Schechter is solid as always. You know, it is interesting. What do you do with Dianne Feinstein? I mean, it sounds like it's clearly that there is enough mental degradation here that there's a real question of whether she'll be able to come back. And if she's 89, that's kind of when it does happen. I've had it happen with family members. I don't know. I mean, it would seem to me the easy solution is she resigns her seat, and if it truly is the case, resign your seat, go out with a tremendous amount of fanfare, and let's get back on track in the Judiciary Committee. I think that's what has to happen. Hour 2 is up next.
Hi, everybody. This is Paul Metza, host of the Wall of Power Radio Hour, going on its 8th anniversary this year on AM 950. I want to tell you that I've got a great book out called Alphabet Jazz, Poetry, Prose, Stories, and Songs. It's writings I've done over the last 40 years. It's available on Amazon, or if you want to shop locally, go to the Electric Fetus, Crumpy's Bar Northeast, or High Fine Hair in Loring Park. I think you're going to enjoy it. Thanks so much.
Crooner's Supper Club invites you to enjoy drinks, a delicious dinner, and live music from both big-name local and national artists in a wide array of styles. Before or after your show, check out the new Maggie's Lounge, a perfect spot to visit with friends. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 with cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. Crooner's Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65. A little piece of old-school nightlife in the 21st century.
I'm standing up for the middle class. Tom Hartman here on the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. 8 police officers in Akron, Ohio will not be charged in the shooting death of a black man. The AP's Norman Hall has the story.
Ohio's Attorney General says the grand jury has declined to indict 8 Akron police officers who fired dozens of rounds that killed a 25-year-old black man last June following a car and brief foot chase. Jalen Walker's death resulted in demonstrations and calls for federal intervention from civil rights groups and the family of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Police say Walker, who had been wearing a ski mask, had fired a shot from his car. The blurry body camera video of the foot chase did not clearly show what authorities say was a threatening gesture Walker made before he was shot. The county medical examiner said Walker was shot at least 40 times. I'm Norman Hall.
A $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against Fox News was supposed to start today in Delaware. Dominion Voting Systems is suing, saying Fox spread false claims the company rigged the 2020 election. The judge delayed the start until tomorrow, raising the prospect of a settlement. The AP's Randall Chase is in Wilmington, Delaware.
The judge has already ruled that the statements that were aired on Fox programs were false. He used the term crystal clear that it was false. The question for the jurors in this case is whether Fox acted with actual malice, which means it allowed those statements to be aired despite knowing they were false.
Today at the Boston Marathon, a big day for Kenya. Defending champion Evans Chebet won for the men. The women's winner is Helen Obiri. In a speech to his nation, French President Emmanuel Macron says he heard people's anger over raising the retirement age to 64, but insists it was needed to keep the pension system afloat. Before his speech, opponents called for people in France to bang pots and pans in front of city halls during the address. The Dow finished up 100 points. This is AP News.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, it's Tom. Going solar is a great way to save on energy costs. By using the sun to power your house, you can feel good about an investment that will last for years. All Energy Solar is a locally trusted turnkey solar installer that's been around since 2009. They provide custom designs and quality installations of solar panel systems that work for your energy needs. One of the best parts about going solar is it's an investment that can pay for itself. Your system can pay back 100% of the installation cost in as little as 8 years. Plus, a system from All Energy Solar can pay back over 300% of its cost over its lifetime. There's also many tax incentives and rebates available, and the experts at All Energy Solar can walk you through the entire process to make sure you're saving as much as possible. So go green, both financially and environmentally, with All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Sunshine today with a high of 46, then tonight clear with a low of 29. Scotch Mama's Hot Barbecue offers the huge taste of selections like baby back ribs and pulled pork sandwiches out of a little place. Scotch Mama's is located just a block west of I-35W off of West Diamond Lake Road in South Minneapolis. Visit their website at scotchamamas.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, that hour number 2 of the show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. By the way, if you do have the AM 950 calendar for the year, this is actually one of my favorite pictures I ever took, is that picture of kind of at the Sculpture Garden looking into downtown Minneapolis. Very nice picture. There's your April. It's the cover photo. It's the cover model issue. Hope you enjoy that there. You can still, by the way, if you do want to become a member of AM 950, you can still do so, and you can still get the calendar if you like. It is good for 3.5 months. You still get a good, or not 3.5. Math, good. Good 8.5 months of quality use ready to go. There you are. Go get the calendar. am950radio.com to become a member, to get the calendar. The rivers. Have you seen any of the rivers lately yourself, Patrick? Have you been going around?
Not particularly. No, I haven't had the chance to look at them.
It's not the worst idea to avoid them. I want to say, because they did have those kids that were up on one of the rivers by Duluth, that got swept out to sea. They were playing down there, or not swept out of the lake. They rescued them. They had unfortunately a young man out in Taylor's Falls fell off the rocks out there and passed away. Wisconsin kid. Be careful around these rivers. They are not to be messed with. That is a lot of water, and every year we get people that will think that they can just drive a car through a flooded road. Dude, that's a river. You're trying to drive through a river. There's an active current there. It's not a big puddle of water. It's an active river. You got to be careful with this stuff, because people die and die regularly because of this sort of thing. So you just got to be careful. Okay. So please, if I was up on the Stone Arch Bridge and I could feel the vibration. As a matter of fact, there was a mist coming off St. Anthony Falls on Saturday. There was a mist like it was freaking Niagara Falls. That's how much water was coming down that waterfall. And by the way, you know how they have that lock there on the left side of the waterfall? They had water pouring down in that thing too, which was God rest you if you get stuck in that. So be careful around those things. Good news, the dandelion fountain that was at Loring Park, they're going to bring that back. We're going to try to. Apparently, it was like a lot of things that were put into the city in the 60s and 70s. They were beautiful, but they had basically zero function whatsoever, no practicality. It had a lot of problems. They're going to fix it, hopefully, and put that back out, which is I'm grateful for, because I look forward to that. That was actually nice. Small problem in Trommeld, Minnesota. Trommeld. Have no idea. A home with over 200 pet rats in the small town of Trommeld has been declared a public health nuisance. You think? After county workers were denied access to the home, the Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners last week authorized a cleanup to abate the conditions, causing an order of animal excrement and union to emanate from the home. Yeah. So you're basically out on the street or next door and you can smell the house. According to Assistant County Attorney Stephanie Shook, the owner of the home died in 2021. It is believed the current resident does not have a lease. The property was foreclosed upon, and the current resident has been notified of when they may vacate the home. She has pet rats, and we're taking probably at least 200 of them, Shook told the county board on April 11th. I'm sorry, did you say pet rats? I'm sorry, did you say pet rats? Asked the commissioner, Doug Haug. I did, Shook said. Okay, that's the first, Haug responded. I would agree with that. Unless does one of those rats cook? I mean, is it got some real talent and ability? Because I've seen that house. It was in that documentary, Ratatouille. I've seen that house. And boy, can I just say, the food that rat can cook, it looked delicious. It'd be great if it was a Minnesota chef rat. Apparently not. According to Bethany Imgrud with the County Commissioner Services Division, the animal rescue removed 160 rats from the home last year, leaving the home's occupant with approximately 40 rats. Now she returned to the previous number, if not gone beyond. Wow. How long does a rat take to create more rats? Is that pretty quick, I'm guessing?
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't think it's yeah. Commissioner Paul Coing, who was attending the meeting virtually, thought he misunderstood. I misunderstood hearing set 200 rats. Oh my Lord. As first reported by the Brainerd Dispatch, the resolution declared the home a public health nuisance was given unanimous approval. I will say you've got to, how are you going to be able to save that home? That's like gasoline in the floorboards on Breaking Bad kind of reeking that you're just not going to get out of there. You're going to have, everything's going to have to be ripped out of that house, the drywall, everything. And I still bet you it's permeated the woodwork and the wood that's still there. You're going to have to tear down the entire home. And I guess, the question here is, who is this person that's living in the house? Because the person that owns the house died in 2021. So, and who are the rats? And can one of the rats cook? Because if it grabs my hair, I don't have a lot of hair anymore. But if Patrick's got a lush head of hair in there. If you grab Patrick's hair, could Patrick make me some nice souffles? That'd be love. Can you make a souffle with a rat there?
I'm not gonna give it the try.
Just Raccacoonie from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Oh gosh, if it only could be, it'd be magnificent. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So, let's get into the ugliness that is America under Republican gun kookiness. And we've talked about this, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, because every few weeks we have to talk about a slaughter of human beings at the hands of a deranged lunatic with a gun. And it happens so consistently, it's terrifying that no one wants to do anything about it, because heaven forbid we actually try to solve this problem. This on the heels of a story here, but what I'm going to say is I'm going to talk about 3 different stories this hour, maybe even 4, with the story out of Ohio, and lay it out for you that this is really what the Republicans want America to be. This is what they want America to be. Because they're sure as hell not doing anything to stop it. Let's start with the local story that is heartbreaking. A Polk County Sheriff's deputy is dead. 2 other officers were shot while responding to a domestic call in the town of Cyrus in west central Minnesota. Cyrus is a community of about 300 people, about an hour's drive southeast of Fergus Falls. The Polk County Sheriff says around 7:30 p.m. Saturday night, April 15th, 2 of his deputies and a Starbuck city police officer were shot trying to arrest someone following a domestic violence call. An officer with the Glenwood City Police Department was also present but did not get hurt. Deputy Josh Owen was taken to the hospital where he later died. The father of Deputy Owen wrote on social media, "I'm numb at this moment. Josh came into this world April 15th, 1979, and on this day, he was taken away from us. Rest easy, my son." Deputy Owen turned 44 on Saturday, the day that he was killed. Deputy Owen's partner, Deputy Brody Merrill, was also shot. He was treated at the hospital and has been released. He's a native of Thief River Falls, and his family still lives there. A number of the family members are part of the law enforcement agencies of that region. Deputy Merrill's family released this statement. Brody is okay physically. He's hurt, but going to be okay. He's devastated. One of his best friends died tonight. The Starbuck police officer was hurt, but not hospitalized. That officer has not had his name released. The male suspect was shot and killed by police on the scene. His name has not been released either. Details regarding the events leading up to the shooting are still under investigation by the Minnesota Bureau of Apprehension. So, let's look at what happened here. 3 good guys with the gun. 3 people who clearly were armed with training, probably extensive training, were shot by an individual who might not have had any training whatsoever, but had a gun. And because of that gun, was able to take out 3 highly trained officers before themselves getting killed. Not because the shooter was some sort of ninja jumping around like an X-Man character, because basically guns are just that lethal. Guns are so lethal that an individual with zero training becomes more of a threat than 3 armed police officers can handle without one of them getting killed, because the guns are that lethal. On Saturday, I had to deal with a right-wing kook who basically tried to post a picture of the Lieutenant Governor, Peggy Flanagan, wearing Protect Trans Kids. And on that Protect Trans Kids shirt she's wearing, there's a picture of a knife. And he was, how dare her? She's inciting violence. And I said, wait a second. Whoa. The same group of people that after school after school after school, after nightclub after nightclub after nightclub, after business after business after business, get shot up. The same people who grab their guns and jam them in your face and say, you have to love this gun. You can't stop it. As they demand your family and your kids and your loved ones are sacrificed to the gun gods for their cause. Those people are offended by an image of a knife. Yeah. Shut the hell up, man. Oh, boo-boo, can't hear you. Oh, no, there's a picture of a knife. As you jam guns in everyone's face and say, you have to love them. I mean, you're so cold and callous with this that you can have people who are gunned down and the family members are grieving and you're there, let me show you why this AK-47 is such a great thing. And you're like, that's the weapon that killed my kid. The weapon to kill your kid, an individual killed your kid with the AK-47. You're just hating. You're against the Constitution because you don't love the gun that killed your child. You're broken people. You're broken people to the freaking core. You basically sit there after this tragedy and after the tragedy of police officers across the country getting gunned down, because it doesn't matter how well trained they are. It doesn't matter how equipped they are, prepared they are. One person with zero training and a gun becomes one of the most lethal things you can have in this country. And someone who has no problem pulling that trigger can cause tremendous amounts of chaos and carnage. Once again, 3, or actually in this case, 4 police officers, 4 police officers walked into that apartment complex to make the arrest on this guy. 3 of them were shot. 1 of them was killed. Do you really think that that shooter was somehow 4 times better than each one of those cops with the gun? No. It just is a gun causes that much freaking damage. And I've even had conservatives already try to make the point. It's like, it's terrible loss here, but at the end of the day, we should realize the bad guy with the gun was taken out. Yeah, after tragedy struck, after an officer lost his life, after 2 other officers were shot. What happened in Cyrus is just the end result of Republican policy on crime and law enforcement, if I can be blunt. And I'll tell you what, I'll take a break. When I come on back, I'm going to go down this path because we need to understand that the Republicans are doing nothing. Not only are they doing nothing to stop this, they're actually doing everything in their power to make sure this happens over and over and over again without any kind of recourse. They're not your friends. They are willing to serve you and your family and your local law enforcement up to the gun gods for their cause. And we have to acknowledge that. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. I'll explain that exactly in just a second. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything.
Except your intelligence.
Coming up, Derek Parfit and your future self.
Should you care more about your future self than other selves?
Well, yeah, my future self is special because it's me.
What if I told you your future self is like you, but not actually you?
Wait, are you planning to replace me with a clone?
Parfit and Identity. Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk. Every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 950.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hi, this is Ken Hageland, host of Living Healthy and Aging Well, inviting you to listen to our live call-in talk show airing every Saturday from noon to 1, where we talk about your health and your life and provide insights you need to know to live and age well. Each week, we talk with guests who provide answers to important questions regarding healthcare, elder care, end-of-life care, and self-care for caregivers, and help you and your loved ones plan for the future and enjoy your highest quality of life today. Please join us every Saturday from noon to 1 on AM 950 for Living Healthy and Aging Well.
We know you love your pets, so make sure to listen to the Pet Buzz.
This week on the show, pet trendologist Charlotte Reed and Dr. Michael Fleck will have more celebrity pet news, global pet news. Dr. Fleck with Flex Facts, Tell Me Something Good, plus more great interviews.
That's this week on the Pet Buzz, enhancing the bond between pets and their people.
Listen to the Pet Buzz every Sunday at 11 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. What exactly have Republicans done? I want to make sure we understand this. We have an individual with a gun is able to take out 3 of 4 police officers before getting killed themselves. 3 or 4 officers who are trained, good guys with guns, with training, and one guy was able to shoot them. Kill one of them. That's a bit of a problem. I would like to hear how anything the Republicans have put forward is designed to stop that from happening. Seriously, I'd love to hear what your thing is. We already know your gun policies. It's not to necessarily stop this. As a matter of fact, it's to encourage more of this to happen. And it is. It absolutely is. without a doubt. And of course it absolutely is. You want to make sure the gun rights of every mentally compromised individual, every career criminal, and every unrepentant domestic abuser are intact. And not only that they can get a gun, but they can amass an arsenal of weaponry. Under Republican gun policy, guns which basically neutralize the ability of the police force to actually police. This is what you've done. Your policies have created this chaos. And as you keep screaming, more guns, you're willing to sacrifice police officers and law enforcement across the country and the state of Minnesota for your cause. Because without any regulation of these guns, because they are so dangerous, an individual could take on 4 good guys with a gun, highly trained police officers, and kill one, shoot 2 more before they were taken out. Your gun policies are the problem. As you scream, it was never the gun. Yes, it was. It was the gun. It was the gun. Heck, you tell me what other weapon this individual could have had that could have basically gotten the results that gun was able to get. That knife that you're so terrified of? Well, they would have basically said, we'll put a round in your leg if you don't put down the knife, because we're not going to get near you while you're swinging the thing around. See, is Republican gun policy is the biggest contributor to the death rate of law enforcement in this country, because they have no problem making sure, once again, mentally compromised, career criminals, and unrepentant domestic abusers have the access to an arsenal of weaponry and can build that up, and will argue, if we take away their gun rights, slippery slope, slippery slope. So it's clear, as they have pushed this guns everywhere policy, they have not once put forward a bill, to my knowledge, to say, well, if you're someone who's mentally compromised, maybe you shouldn't have access to a gun. Or maybe someone who's a career criminal probably shouldn't have access to a gun. Or maybe someone who's a serial domestic abuser shouldn't have access to a freaking gun. Nope. Republican policy is to argue that they all need to have them, because that's what the founding fathers wanted. It's crazy. It's freaking crazy. But let me ask, let's go to your other law enforcement things. What else are you doing? Seriously, what else are you doing to try to stop this kind of carnage against law enforcement? We're giving them money. Okay, for what? Like stormtrooper battle armor? Is that what they're supposed to walk around and work in all day long? Seriously, is that what, are they supposed to just, is that your solution? That they basically get wrapped in full body armor like they're in a combat zone in freaking Afghanistan, 24/7, 365 while they're out on duty? That's your solution. That's it. We're not going to regulate the guns and get the guns out of the people's hands who are going to clearly have intent to try to do damage. Nope. What we'll do is we'll just give them enough taxpayer dollars. Well, they can just take all the taxpayer dollars and wear it like a suit, just tape it to their bodies, and that way the bullet hit the money and it won't get them all. See, we succeeded. Well, first of all, no, that's not how it works. I mean, I know you guys are big on, well, we'll get you a military van. Okay, so that's what your argument is, that they're going to just drive the military van, the military combat zone level of weaponry through a house and just, get rid of the house, just not even knock on the door, not even make sure the individual's there, not even make sure they've got the right house. Just they can just knock that house down and there's no consequences for doing that because, they're keeping America safe. And that inside that military combat zone, you have police officers wearing full top to bottom military combat gear. That's your solution? Because my gut feeling would be is that it would make it really freaking difficult for police officers to do their job if all the time the first thing they had to do was make sure they had on full body armor every time they walked out the door, because you clowns just don't want to freaking regulate guns and acknowledge the gun is the problem. Well, Matt, they could use a crossbow. Well, Matt, they could use a hatchet. Oh, Matt, they could use a lead pipe. These officers did not get shot with a lead pipe or a crossbow. They got, there's an officer who's dead because of crap policies towards guns and an insanely naive policy, conservative policy towards law enforcement, which basically is the mindset of, well, we threw a ton of money at you. We're good. Without asking officers, because I can tell you what, there's a lot of law enforcement in this country who are like, regulate the guns for God's sakes. You know that career criminal? Make sure that they don't have a gun. You know that person who's mentally compromised that's had been taken to a mental hospital multiple times in the last 4 years because of voices screaming in their head? Well, probably making sure that person doesn't have a gun is a good idea. You know the guy who's a chronic domestic abuser? You know, for the sanctity of their spouse and their family, it'd be a good idea to take the gun out of their hand, but let alone for the law enforcement so that they don't get shot when they're going in there to try to arrest someone under a domestic violence call. That's what police officers want, is common sense applied, not some sort of, you know, we're going to make sure everyone has a gun, but don't worry, the officers will be okay because we're just going to give you a bunch of cash, and if you buy body armor, you'll be fine. The fact that you've gotten to a point where your solution is the people of Cyrus, Minnesota, the police officers in Cyrus, Minnesota, in Pope County, Minnesota, have to have full body armor and military-grade armored vehicles, should tell you everything that the freaking guns are the freaking problem. The fact that you had 4 officers, good guys with guns, highly trained, get shot. 3 of them got shot. 1 of them died. It was the guns, stupid. But we're not done. I got more gun stories that just paint the entire picture of the failure of the Republican Party to deal with what is a no-brainer solution, which is to basically change the gun laws to prevent this carnage from happening. Because we used to do that. We used to have a world where we didn't have to have the police officers of Cyrus have to have full stormtrooper body gear to prevent from getting shot. Didn't have to have a freaking tank to go down the streets. We have that now because of Republican gun policy. And no amount of money they throw at law enforcement will take away the danger that has been created by themselves. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. More sad stories in regards to gun violence when we do return. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Hi, this is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown, Minnesota's only minority-owned union printing company. We have big news. We've moved to North Minneapolis.
Why did you move?
As a Black business owner, I wanted to be part of the North Minneapolis community to provide jobs.
Are there other reasons you moved there?
We have bigger new equipment and outgrew the other location.
What kind of new equipment do you have?
We have new equipment that allows us to print quality signage and banners. We also have a new inkjet printer, printing larger sheets, improving production efficiencies.
Is the new location easy to find?
It's not only easy to find, it's more convenient with plenty of parking. We are now located on Washington Avenue North off I-94 and the Dowling exit.
So do you still print everything?
We print more than everything. We have over 175 Google reviews with a 5-star rating. Call 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com. We print everything.
2023 is here, and you can make it the year of the Eagle with the National Eagle Center. You and your family can enjoy exciting Eagle experiences, including field trips, private habitat tours, and exclusive behind-the-scenes tours. Meet live eagles up close, view bald eagles and golden eagles in the wild, and receive personal one-on-one education with dedicated and knowledgeable eagle experts as you journey into the world of eagles like never before. Learn more and plan your unforgettable Eagle experience today at nationaleaglecenter.org/experiences.
Hi, I'm Kelly Tanky.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Tune in to AM 950's newest show, Searching for Service, a show designed to help current and future Rotarians find purpose through service.
We are dedicated to sharing stories, experiences, and opportunities for those searching for purpose, value, and meaning.
But more importantly, connection through community. Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcasts.
It's time to stop searching and start serving.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Sunshine today with a high of 46, then tonight clear with a low of 29. Spring has arrived and it's time to take a good look at your lawn. If there are bare spots or brown patches, Natura Lawn can help. For over 30 years, Natura Lawn has taken an environmentally friendly approach to lawn care. Beat the summer rush and visit naturalawn.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. A gifted musician, a bass clarinetist who earned All-State Band honorable mention, who plays in several instruments in a Metropolitan Youth Orchestra. He's a member of his school's Technology Student Association and Science Olympia team. He's hoping to attend Texas A&M to study chemical engineering. Or as Republicans insist, bad guy that needs to be shot. Ha! Got him! Gangbanger! Druggie! Ha! Now, this is actually a true story, which is sickening. But because of the world Republicans have created with this guns culture that they have, it is the world that we now inherit. A white man in his 80s is the individual who apparently shot and seriously wounded Ralph Yarl, a black teen, April 13th in Kansas City. And according to a CNN review of property records, CNN is not naming the man at this time. Because he's not been charged. Two representatives of the Kansas City Police Department detention unit read the man's booking information to CNN over the phone. They confirmed the man who was booked on investigation hold was a white man in his 80s, and his home address matches the address where the shooting took place. The representatives also noted he was taken into custody on April 13th, just before midnight, was released less than 2 hours later at 1:24 on April 24th, with, I'm going to guess, Republicans patting him on the back saying, job well done. Because this is the world you created. This is your world you created, Republicans. Sit down, shut up, and take it. This is the world you created with your desires to basically worship guns. So just sit down and shut up and take it. Property owners in the neighborhood spoke to CNN, confirmed the man and his wife are the homeowners living at the shooting location. So I'm sure the Republicans will come on out and say, well, what was he doing? Was he trying to break in? Was he trying to rob the place? I'm sure there was something horrible going on here. No. Reading from the Huffington Post story, Yarl, 16, was identified online by relatives. He was shot Thursday night when he drove to a home a few blocks away from his own to pick up his twin younger brothers. He didn't have a phone with him, and he went to the wrong block, his aunt, Faith Spoonmore, wrote on a GoFundMe page set up to pay medical bills. Spoonmore wrote that Yarl pulled into the driveway and rang the doorbell. All right, so he is a 16-year-old kid going to pick up his younger twin brothers, doing a good thing. An exceptional kid across the board, black. so that Republicans will basically try to ignore all that and label him as something else. But this kid was exceptional on all levels. And here he is trying to help out his kid brothers. Unbelievable. The man at the home opened the door, looked at my nephew in the eye, then shot him in the head. When the Jarl fell to the ground, the man shot him again. Despite being shot twice, the teen was able to run to a neighbor's to seek help. This is where it gets disgusting and tells you everything you need to know about this Kansas City neighborhood. He had to run to 3 different homes before someone finally agreed to help him after he was told to lie on the ground with his hands up. Once again, a gifted bass clarinetist, a Missouri All-State Band honorable mention, plays multiple instruments in the Metropolitan Youth Orchestra in Kansas City. He's a member of his school's Technology Student Association, and the first thing that everyone is saying is, don't open the door, it's a black gangbanger! Lie down, you're guilty of something, I know it! This guy, by the sounds of it, didn't even say a damn thing to him. He goes up to the door saying to him, thinking he doesn't know he's got the wrong house, opens the door, and the guy puts a bullet in his head. Because that's Republican gun policy on display. On display. CNN has not been able to reach the man for comment at this time. A lawyer was not listed in the booking report. CNN requested the booking report and mugshot for the accused shooter in addition to the incident report, but has not received it from the Kansas City Police Department. Officers responded to the home on April 13th, just before 10 p.m. after receiving reports of a shooting. When they arrived, they found Ralph, 16, had been shot outside the residence by the homeowner. Ralph was shot twice and struck in the head and arm, his family attorney said in a statement. The neighbor CNN spoke with said they did not hear the shooting because they were asleep, but did say once awake, they came outside, was lying in the street surrounded by a few of our neighbors. Ralph was released from the hospital on Sunday, according to a report from the Kansas City Star, citing an interview with the teen's father. He continues to improve. He's responsive, and he's making good progress, Paul Jarl told the newspaper. After spending 3 nights at the hospital, Ralph is recovering at home, being cared for by his mother, who is a nurse, the newspaper reported. Family attorney Ben Crump claimed the shooting was racially profiled incident in the interview with CNN's John Berman. We've been informed that his family that it was a white man who shot their 16-year-old son, explaining he believes the teen was shot because he was black. I don't know what's wrong with you, white America. I'm a white guy. I don't know what's wrong with you that someone comes to the door in the middle of the night and the first thing you do is grab a gun and start shooting rounds. Well, I do know what's you. You turn off the freaking Fox News. The ones telling you all black people are trying to rob you. Here's a kid who sounds like just exceptional, just trying to go pick up his brothers. And here's yet another sacrifice to the gun gods the Republicans keep basically worshiping. It's inescapable not to observe the racial dynamics here, said Crump. Because and before any white person said, well, you can't say it was. Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was. It was a white guy shooting a black guy. And I'm sure right now, the right-wing news media is doing everything in their power to say, he used the base clarinet as a bong. He's a druggie. He's a gangbanger. Heck, they could do the other thing that was the St. Louis police did, where they he was a demon creature. You remember that one? And they bought it because nothing matters less to a lot of these people than the life of a black person, which I'll get to in just a moment. At a weekend rally, community and family members marched to December train in front of the man's house, calling on charges to be filed. Protesters marched as they chanted "Justice for Ralph" and "Black Lives Matter," and the signs carried reading, "Ringing the doorbell is not a crime. The shooter should do time." The teen's father said, "We want charges. That's what we want." Police learned the teenager's parents had asked him to pick up his siblings, and the address of 115th Terrace actually went to a home on 115th Street where he was shot. Well, you don't know. He's knocking on the door at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Could be anything. You better shoot first. What kind of sane society even entertains this idea that you should just shoot someone because they're on their front porch? Lawyers for Ralph's family also say the youth was shot after he was went to the wrong house. And he shot him. And then did like the guy up in Little Falls and shot him again once he was on the ground. Shot him in the head and then felt he had to put another round in him. Monday interview with CNN, Crump said the shooting harkens back to Trayvon Martin and Ahmaud Arbery. And they have many of these other tragedies where they had citizens profile shoot our black children, then police, then let them go home and sleep in their beds at night. It's unacceptable. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's not just making sure the crazed people, the mentally unstable, although I'll make a great argument that this guy was mentally unstable, the mentally unstable, career criminals, and the unrepentant domestic abusers having access to an arsenal of guns at all times. It's the fact that they basically then pump into so-called normal people. They're coming to get you. They want your stuff. They're at the door. Is it black person? Is it a Latino person? Oh my God. They're probably a member of a gang. One of those gangs that's trying to smuggle drugs in. They want your stuff. Oh my God. They're at the door. It's 10 o'clock. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, at what point did you think what we were encouraging someone to shoot someone without cause? Come on, Matt. Come on, Matt. I said last week that the problem with American gun culture is that it's based on not keeping people safe. It's not based on safety at all. God, sweet Jesus, no. The entire concept of guns in this country is based on the argument of, I'll show you. It's for the weak-minded, pathetic people of this country. It's what they feel is the ultimate argument that will win the day for them. They'll see me carrying the gun. They'll back off. They didn't back off. Well, maybe I'll point the gun at them. Then they'll back off. They're not backing off. I got to shoot them now. It's the I'll show you. And by the way, a lot of times they skip a lot of that. They just pull the gun and start shooting, a la this guy in Kansas City. Down deep inside, the people that promote this and encourage this gun carnage in America fantasize about holding the people they feel as if they're their enemies accountable, and whether that's threatening them with a gun, and I bet they'd wet their pants. I bet they'd be scared down. They'd say I was right then. Or fantasizing about killing people. They're out there. Which brings us to McCurtain County, Oklahoma, which this one's breaking today. So sweet freaking Jesus on this one. McCurtain County, Oklahoma is in shock this week after a secretly recorded conversation revealed that the local sheriff and several McCurtain County commissioners discussed hiring hitmen to murder the local newspaper reporters. By the way, all Republicans. According to the local news station, KXII, the recording was obtained by local reporter Bruce Willingham, who deliberately left a recording device running in a place where he believed all county commissioners were holding illegal secret meetings to evade public scrutiny. Already, by the way, how dare he record this? The real villain here is the journalist for recording this conversation. Upon listening to the recordings, however, Willingham quickly realized he'd found more than evidence of just illegal meetings. He had heard McCurtain County Sheriff Kevin Clardy and McCurtain County Commissioners Mark Jennings, Robert Beck, and Alicia Manning discussing the possibility of committing murder. At one point in the recording, Commissioner Jennings offered that I've known 2 or 3 hitmen. They're very quiet guys who would cut no blanking mercy if hired to kill the local reporters. Which I want to stop here for a second and step back. Has there been anyone else in Commissioner Jennings' life who has suddenly disappeared? I think that that's a legitimate question at this point. Jennings can also be heard lamenting that it's no longer considered politically correct to lynch black people in the United States. I'm going to tell you something. It was back in the day when Alan Marston would take the damn black guy and whoop their ass and throw them in the cell. I'd run for blanking sheriff, Jennings said. Yeah, well, it's not like that anymore, replied Sheriff Clardy. I know, complained Jennings. Take them down to Mud Creek and hang them up with the damn rope, but you can't do that anymore. They got more rights than we do, is what this ass says. And by the way, if that isn't even more proof that this far right-wing zealotry is being pushed by this right-wing media who's out there saying, if you give them equal rights, they're going to have more rights than you. How often are white people in McCurtain County, Oklahoma, found hanging on the riverbanks in Oklahoma? Probably not very often. But yet he has the right, as he's fantasizing about lynching black people. You can't do that anymore because they got more rights than we do. Holy God. And I guarantee you all these guys are big fans of guns. Because the gun isn't about safety. The gun's about, I'll show you. I'll show you. That's what it's about. That's all it's about. That's all it's about anymore. And these are the people that are out there with the guns, encouraging more guns, the blatant racism, the disregard for human life, the disregard for law enforcement, although we can call out the sheriff down there in McCurtain County, for goodness sakes. This is not about safety. This is about trying to control. And there's an element of the Republican Party that's tired of equal rights for all and want to take it back to a time where they can shoot black people and hang black people and murder black people, and there are no consequences. And these laws have permeated our society. None of these make us safer. All they do is give white people the feeling that they can go out there and take care of business like it's 1880 again. The problem with our country is the Republican Party, because this is what they think is good. This is what they think is great. I will say this about the case in the Oklahoma. The Republican governor down there quite clearly has basically argued that all these people should resign. I should make an argument, once again, they should all be arrested. But I'll even make the argument in regards to Commissioner Jennings. Someone should look into this. The guy that says he can hire hitmen left and right, and argue that you should probably check into his background a little bit more and see if anyone's disappeared. And by the way, before anyone sits there and says, they were joking, Matt, they were just, why can't you take a joke? Well, much later on in the same recording, apparently the female commissioner was talking about the daughter-in-law of the person they were going to murder and how that they didn't want that to come back on them. How is that a joke, dude? No, they got caught. They got caught because someone was smart enough to figure out where they were saying the quiet parts as leaders in their community. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. We'll talk more when I come back, because I can tell you right now, I think what we're going to have to do is it's time for us to start making the argument. It's time to rewrite the Second Amendment and put a new amendment in the Constitution that fixes the problems with the Second Amendment. I'll get back to that in just a second. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Get ready for a springtime adventure like no other. The St. Paul Art Collective is thrilled to announce the return of the St. Paul Art Crawl. This iconic event spans over 4 weekends from April 14th to May 7th. The St. Paul Art Crawl features over 200 talented artists across 10 unique art districts in St. Paul. This year's Art Crawl promises to be bigger and better than ever before, with even more artists showcasing their incredible work. Explore the city's vibrant neighborhoods and let your creativity run wild as you discover the unique visions of each artist. Immerse yourself in a world of art and culture that is sure to inspire and amaze. Not only will you have the opportunity to witness some of the most incredible art the Twin Cities has to offer, but you can also help ensure the best experience for both artists and visitors by making a donation. So wander the St. Paul Art Crawl and discover the wonder of it all. That's 4 unforgettable weekends spanning April 14th through May 7th. For more information about the Spring Art Crawl and how to donate, visit stpaulartcollective.org.
I love my Toyota vehicles, so when I have to get service done, there's only one place I go. Rudy Luther Toyota. They know Toyotas inside and out. It starts with them checking your alignment and tire treads with the Hunter Quick Check Drive Inspection Service. Oil changes, tires, batteries, wipers, no matter what you need done, they can help you with reliable Toyota parts and the best service team in Minnesota. Check their website, rudyluthertoyota.com, for service and parts specials just for your Toyota vehicles. Get your Toyota serviced at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
This is Ross Stadheim, partner at MJSB Employment Justice. When you've been wronged at work or something just doesn't feel right, it's hard to know what to do next. Our firm can help. We pride ourselves on communication and listening to our brave clients to obtain their own brand of justice. When you hire MJSB Employment Justice, you're not just a number. You're a valued client who will be represented by one of our experienced and accomplished partners every step of the way. That's our promise.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today at mjsbjustice.com.
Oh, and by the way, just to tell you, with the gun craziness that's going on in our country right now, to where one guy with a gun was able to shoot 3 police officers up in Cyrus, Minnesota, killing one of them. Minnesota State Representative Senator Nathan Westenberg of Little Falls, his biggest priority, he's calling 911 to report drag performance to the police. I would encourage anyone that sees that behavior to also report that behavior. Now, mind you, this guy looks like he's doing a drag performance of Duck Dynasty. Constantly. I mean, seriously, this dude, that is not a good look. But, you keep going with it. Yeah, no, seriously, you don't look like an absolute jug band clown. But, see, they're not serious. This is, it's all smoke and mirrors. We talked earlier with Cliff, and with one of the things we talked about was the fact that Fox News is now facing the real consequence. They're about to, they are going to lose and lose badly in a Delaware courtroom. Begged the judge to postpone the trial by one day so that they could go in there and offer whatever they could. Now, mind you, same news organization that for months has screamed, "We didn't do anything wrong, nothing wrong, nothing wrong," are now in there saying, "Why don't you want to negotiate? We're admitting we might have made a mistake." I say that because it reminds me of what will happen in this country when Generation Z and the rest of the sane people basically start realizing the true danger to us. The danger is not just the guns, it's the Republicans who basically are trying to make sure guns kill off as many people as possible for their own, gun sacrifices to their gun gods. And what is going to happen in my mind as these Republicans keep pushing this crap is that eventually they will fall out of favor, and they eventually will get enough people in there that they will be able to change and put a constitutional amendment in, and they'll write the constitutional amendment, and it will get passed by the House and the Senate, and it will go on out to the states, and finally enough states will get ready to pass it. And when the final state that's going to put it over the top to rewrite the Second Amendment is there meeting that is when finally the most belligerent group of fools who scream that guns are the greatest thing ever and jam them in everyone's face when kids get slaughtered will all of a sudden be, "Why are you forcing this on us? We're more than happy to work with the other side. Where did you ever get the idea was our mentality was our way or the highway? We're just innocent victims." Screw them. If I can be blunt, I think that was in the words of Socrates. Screw you. All right. I don't even know if he knew what the word screw meant. Never mind. It's a hardware thing there, Socrates. It's time to change it. Whether it's people fantasizing about murdering people or bringing back lynching, whether it's a kid lost walking up to a door and getting his, getting a bullet in the head, or whether it's 3 good guys with a gun, trained with guns, getting into a gunfight with one guy with a gun because that gun is so damn lethal, it neutralizes any training or ability. The Republican Party will not do a damn thing to make us safer. So it's time for us to change the Second Amendment and start to push this through, because this chaos can't continue. Native Roots Radio up in the 6. We're back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Our station is located on a marsh, and we